Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
To summarize maybe the woke mind virus, it consists of creating very, very divisive identity politics. So it actually amplifies, woke mind virus, in my view, amplifies racism, amplifies, frankly, sexism, and all the isms. And while claiming to do the opposite, it actually divides people and makes them sort of hate each other, and it makes people hate themselves. And it's also anti-meritocratic. It's not like, it's not merit-based. So you want to have people succeed based on how hard they work and the talents, not who they are, whether they're man, woman, what race or gender. That stuff is all creating. It's an artificial, mental civil war that is created, and it's not. And let me tell you, it's no fun. Okay, it is like woke mind virus and fun are incompatible. There's no fun in that. No joy. Woke mind virus is all about condemning people instead of celebrating people. Like when in the woke, it just doesn't celebrate. It's all about condemning and being divisive and being I think it's just evil, frankly.
Yes, the woke mind virus is alive and well. It's taken over all aspects of our lives: social media, schools, colleges, universities, the courts, politicians, television shows, you name it, it's everywhere. Hi, everyone. It's Patrick. Class is in session today. Joe's out. He gave you guys the heads up yesterday, so I'll be in the chair. He's traveling, doing what he's got to do. The dude stays busy. He will be hosting tomorrow, so everyone make sure you tune in. We got Casey, the car guy, lined up for us tomorrow. So hopefully that all works out and we'll have a great episode. But Joe will be in chair tomorrow. Thanks for joining today. I'm here. Yeah, the woke mind virus is part of what's going on in America. It's not the main problem, right? It's a portion of the problem. It's a facet of the problem. The main problem, what's going on in America today, is we're in the middle of a communist revolution. That's legitimately where we are in America today, a communist revolution. And the woke mind virus is a part of that, okay? And this communist revolution has been playing out for decades. Just mainly a lot of Americans, myself included until recently, were asleep at the wheel. We didn't understand. It took 2020 to wake everybody up with the COVID scam. And then people being canceled online, leading rise to independent media more, right? And that just gave the great awakening to the American people where, oh, the media's been lying to us. Oh, our politicians been lying to us. Why? And the more you peel it back, the more you understand where you see the money's coming from, and you see the goals of people that are pulling the strings behind it. Remember, we're unpacking this with B in our special. And we're legitimately in the middle of a communist revolution where you have those looking to put their will, no matter which way they get about doing it, into our face every day, right? And it's happening all across the board. They do it through multiple means, right? They got the social media game, the online game. They got the regular media game that just echoes and parrots what our politicians are saying. So you got the politicians out there saying what they got to say to make sure they keep driving home the communist message, even though they claim to be working in the best interest of America and Americans. We know that's not to be the case with about 98% of them in Congress, right? You also have the ground game that these communists have going on. They have their protests. They are organized. They are well-funded. They have rapid mobilization. They have signal chat groups, right? So you have kind of a... you have your people, your ground game, your kind of slight infantry group on the floor that is ready to respond to things that the government is doing, right? Specifically right now, what the government has been trying to do is mass deportations. And you saw what happened there. The communists were able to provoke some bad incidents to occur, caught on camera, 2 people were killed, and then that drove the public pressure for President Trump to back off the hardline immigration stance he was having in Minneapolis and Minnesota, specifically because of the Somali fraud that was uncovered there. But the communists know how to deal with this now, right? They acted it out, they took notes, they learned from the past, and they learned from the present. And now we're going to see what that's going to look like in the future moving forward with these organized protests. And it's still winter here in America, right? Give it some time. You know, in out west here, it's been warm. But give it some time and we'll see where the summer takes us, right? Because the communists never stop. And we're in the middle of it. And if you're going to just throw your hands up and say, I want to be left alone, well, the hell with you, basically, because you're no good. You need to actually realize that you can say you want to be left alone. They will not leave you alone. Like, that's the reality Americans need to understand, right? And it's the generation, I'll say it again, it's the generation now that has kids, those that are parents. The grandparents are separated from this. They have done their duty. They are in retirement. They don't want to be, they kind of want to know what's going on, but they don't really want to be involved in it because it is too all-consuming. And they've lived their lives, to be honest with you. I get it, right? My in-laws are great people. They hear me out. They understand what it is, but, you know, they're living their separate lives, and as they should. As they should. It is my generation's time. Okay? It is the ones that have parents now that really need to wake up. And even if you're a liberal, you have a parent, right? You think transgender rights is good. Wait till your daughter gets spiked on in a volleyball game and then winds up getting brain damage. See how you feel about trans rights in sports then. Or your daughter's wrestling in middle school or high school, and the competitor she's wrestling against, she doesn't know is a boy, and that boy is presenting to be a female, and then that student then sexually assaults your daughter by putting their fingers on your daughter's vagina in a wrestling match. Maybe then you'll wake up. Okay? But this is part of the cultural shift that the communists are trying to implore on us here in America. Right? That is just part of it. There's also an economic push, and we're going to talk about the economic fallout from communism, because we have some communistic states here in America and communistic cities. Seattle, state of Washington, Chicago, city of New York, state of New York. But the state of New York is actually pushing back a little bit more on the communist Muslim down in New York right now. Kathy Hochul. Virginia's just off the chain with what they're doing. I've seen recent reports about energy pricing going through the roof. They're gerrymandering the state 9-1, right? In a state that voted 75 to 70, 40, I'm sorry, that voted 45 to 47% Republican in the last presidential election, now is being gerrymandered down to have basically 1 vote out of 10 in the state of Virginia, right? So it's ground warfare all over the place. It is ground warfare all over the place, right? And they still push. They push their education indoctrination in schools. They talk about trans rights in schools, talk about social justice causes, right? You've seen the mass marches and protests all throughout public schools over the past couple of weeks, right? This is all by design. And the teachers' unions are behind it. NEA is behind it. And they don't want what's best for kids. They want an uninformed, unintelligent populace that does not think for themselves, that will be solely reliant on government. That's what they want out of the education system. And if you really think about it, if the education systems really wanted what's best for schools and what's best for kids, and to set kids up for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years for success after they're done with high school, what are they doing for them? What are they actually doing for them? Are schools taking on new AI initiatives to teach kids how to use AI, how to develop AI, how to implement AI? No, doubt it, because the people in the school districts have no idea how to use AI. But AI will be the driving force for this kid's generation coming up. Hell, it'll be in my generation. Okay? But those kids that are 16, 17, 18 years old, on the cusp of going to college or on the cusp of entering the workforce, that soon to be will be non-existent for them, because most of these jobs that these high school kids that cannot read or write are graduating from, somehow are graduating high school, that can't read or write. Take a look at some of these literacy rates that we've been covering here on the show. But these kids then are going to enter the workforce. But the jobs that they're going to look to take are going to be taken over because AI is going to be doing the jobs for them. So what are you going to have? You're going to have a whole bunch of angry 19, 20, 21-year-olds pissed off, no job opportunity, no future, right? Boom. Communist game. Add to their ground troops. The schools are building this for them purposefully because they're not preparing kids for what's coming next. They're preparing kids to be protesters, social justice warrior, equity advocates, anything but an informed citizen. And that's what we have now in America. And this is what we get. This is the byproduct of it. And now us as Americans, the ones that are aware and awake, we need to dig in and rise up. Okay, I fight every day. Legitimately, I'm fighting every day. I come here and I work the show. Working on this show is fighting it every day because Joe is one of the few people that are out there that are authentic, that are real, that bring the receipts to back up what he says. It is quite refreshing to work for the man every day. I do that. I'm in the middle of a federal civil rights lawsuit that every day I'm waiting to hear back on. I am in this 24/7, and it's not by choice. It wasn't by choice. The communists came for me. The communists brought me here. You know, I've been told I black pill or you know, I don't even know what that means, black pill. Like, I kind of understood what the red pill meant, but the black pill I really don't understand because what I'm doing here is I'm just speaking facts, or at least facts how I perceive them and through my lens. And that's through my 42 years of history on this planet, paired with some education, high school and college. Now I look back on, I'm like, geez, I spent all this money on college, and how much did I actually learn there? I didn't learn enough, I'll tell you that. I didn't know what I need to know. I learned most of the stuff I know now after college, which then reinforces what I've learned after college is that the education system has been hijacked to push a specific narrative. That's 100% true. That's part of the communist ground game. They did that. I was subject to it and didn't even know I was being subject to it till I woke up years later. And now I'm in this fight 24/7. I lost my job. I legitimately lost my job. Making six figures, medical care, right? Cherry Creek School District, Campus Middle School, heart of DTC, real nice, Greenwood Village, real nice area. I'm not taking guns out of schools anymore. I had to do that in my previous job. I'm not having to deal with gangbangers coming into the building, creating gang fights and having anarchy throughout the building for hours on end. True story. That stuff all happens in the public school system. Take a look at the videos that are out there. And districts that say, oh, that's not us. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have a school or two in your district that behave this way. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. I lost my job. I went into depression. My wife saw things that she shouldn't have seen in me, right? Like I was a broken man. I had no recourse. I had no way of getting another job. I applied to 40 other jobs in education, got one phone call. You're talking about a guy that had 17 years of experience in education, 12 years as a social studies teacher, 3 years as a high school dean at Hinckley High School and Aurora Public Schools, 3 years as a dean at Campus Middle School in Cherry Creek School District. And I could not get one job in the Denver metro area, could not get one interview in the Denver metro area. Why? Because the communists came for me and the communists canceled me because I stood up for myself. That's what they do. They come for you, they will wreck your family, they will wreck your livelihood, and they won't care. And what caused all that? The love of the country caused all that. Me professing love of country in an equity training to the head of the equity department caused all this for me. And then when I get legal representation, America First Legal, we slap them with the federal lawsuit. And the district then says, yeah, we did all this to them and we have a right to do this. And then the courts out here protect them. The courts are part of the communist revolution as well, because you have your activist judges, these communist judges that hate America, that hate Americans, that hate what the Constitution stands for, and will trample on the Constitution to make sure their political ideology carries through. Communist revolution. So we're appealing up to the 10th Circuit. And we'll see what happens up there. We'll see what type of judgment we get up there. We knew we were going to get smoked at the low levels. We saw who was in front of us, Scott Valhalla. Yeah, wannabe magistrate judge. Well, he's a magistrate judge, but a wannabe federal judge, making sure he rules in any which way that favors the left, against Tina Peters, against myself, against any other cases that he has been brought before him, to make sure he scores his political points so that when next appointment rounds come, his name's on the top of the list to get a federal judgeship somewhere. Because that's how these games are played with the communists. That's what the left does, right? That when the Democrats come into power and they get to fill all these bench seats that are going to open up over the next presidency, they're going to take these radical magistrate judges that ruled a lot in their favors, because I guarantee they have scorecards on all these people, because they have these nonprofits that actually watch how these magistrate judges ruled, and they give these judges ratings. And then what the next administration is going to do, the left, is going to look at this, oh, okay, trampled on civil rights, went after Republicans, made sure that the state was right in everything that they did. Oh, okay, boom. Appoint. And then they'll get through real quick, because the Democrats don't waste any time in Congress infighting amongst each other when they're looking to legislate their political agenda. These judges will get confirmed, and you'll have more of the courts taken over. Boom. Okay? If that's blackpilling you, I am sorry, but that is how it works. That is the reality of the political system in which we live and operate in. And that's the system that is supposed to toe the line and make sure that we are treated fairly. That is out the window now. Has been out the window for a long time. You see these federal judges overturning rulings against Trump, bringing back, make sure deportations come back. People we've deported to Venezuela need to be brought back in so they can get a hearing. I can't even get a hearing in this country. And the best part is the school district that I'm suing, Cherry Creek School District, admitted in federal paperwork that they did fire me for what I said. So everything I actually claimed that they did to me in a federal lawsuit, they acknowledge in a federal lawsuit. And I still can't get a hearing here in America. You're telling me the communists take over our courts isn't real, or blackpilling is too hard? I don't know what to tell you. This is the reality in which we live. And if you need help, or if you need a lifeline, or you need to actually rectify a wrong, and you need the courts to do it, you need to be aware that the deck is stacked against you as a Republican, but especially as someone that believes in the beauty and the truth of the U.S. Constitution, which our judicial system should be based upon. Communist revolution taking over this country, every which way we look at it. So yeah, I was in depression. I sought mental health support. And then you know what happened? I couldn't afford it because insurance. I thought it'd actually be less than what it was, and it wasn't. And then my wife is working 50 hours a week. I'm driving freaking Uber Eats and doing front desk work at Achieve Sports. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate the work that Achieve gave me. They just couldn't give me more of it. And it allowed me to bring some money to my family, but it wasn't enough to pay bills. It took me out of the house on Friday and Saturdays. I didn't see my kid Friday, Saturday nights. To me, being with my kid is pretty much the most important thing. I grew up without a father. So it's important to me to be around my kid, because I want my kid to have his dad in his life, and I want to be in my kid's life. And I also want that beautiful, beautiful boy who is turning 4 today. His birthday is today. He is 4 years old. I want that kid to feel safe in this country. And if we continue allowing this communist revolution to take over, he will not be safe in this country. He will have a target on his back. He will become part of the have-nots, right? Because that's what the communists are looking to do. Class warfare, social warfare, destroy us, turn us against each other, beat us down until we're nothing and dust. And they're sitting up top. Where has communism succeeded? Where's democratic socialism or democratic socialism succeeded? Nowhere. It hasn't succeeded. What it's left in its wake with pushing socialism and communism, millions of deaths. Millions of deaths. Right? And it's coming here. It is here. It's within our walls. And there's only so much we could do as everyday citizens. We could be prepared. We could be physically ready. We could be mentally ready. We could have food resources. We have water resources. We could make sure we have backup electronics. We have Starlink. We have generators, right? We have all that. Is that how we're supposed to live? Is that how we're supposed to live in America because of the fear of what's going to happen to us because of our political beliefs? Yeah, it is. And it's in your face every day. Remember the vaccine mandates? All these Democratic blue cities and states, they fired medical professionals if they refused to put an untested vaccine in their bodies. They didn't give a shit. People on social media were banned all over the place for speaking out against the vaccine or the 2020 election was stolen. Gone, right? We have had the taste of it. Don't think it won't come back. Don't think it won't come back 100 times harder. It's not gone. It's not dormant. It's not sleeping. They're just fighting different aspects now, right? They're fighting it on social media. They're fighting it on the streets. And they're actually ramming through their agendas where they can. Communist revolution. They're not Democrats. They're communists. Okay? And right on cue, just to prove just how diabolical these people are, right on cue, after the most recent trans shooting, one in Canada, that very hush-hush over down here in America about, awful shooting up in Canada. If you guys looked into it, I believe 10 students shot and killed, over 20 injured. And then we just had the shooting at the ice rink at a high school game by another trans confused person. Well, Democrat rep Jayapal, wokeness, communist, look what she's trying to introduce on the House floor in Congress.
To trans people everywhere, I also want you to know this. Those people are threatened by your strength, by your joy in being fully who you are. Those who fight against trans people are just jealous of the freedom that they have taken to be fully who they are. And so those people just want to destroy that rather than imagine what it would be like to be fully who they are. Wise words from our young people. So today, the Trans Bill of Rights makes those freedoms we all deserve as clear as the paper they are written on. And we intend to continue this fight until we win this fight.
No talk there about what actually happens with trans people, that it's gender dysphoria and it's a mental health condition that needs to be treated, not encouraged, right? If anyone's been paying attention past 2 years, look at the data. The vast majority of mass shootings have been carried out by trans people. Why? Because the wiring is crossed, along with the hormones that they're taking. It's a bad concoction that is being unleashed upon us. And then us as Americans who believe that men should not be in women's bathrooms, teenage boys should not be in teenage girls' locker rooms, we're looked at as the ones that are hateful because we want to protect our kids. Absolutely not. And this is the bullshit that we have to fight every day, right? She doesn't talk about the mental health issue. She doesn't talk about the violence. But you know what she does talk about? If a white person shoots a person of a different color, she's the first one to call that out and call racism, right? So just the conniving, disgusting individuals that are in our Congress, right? And by the way, it's time to have a legitimate talk about dual citizenship and who can actually serve in Congress. Because if you have dual citizenship, or if you're a refugee from another country, how can you honestly say that you are serving America's best interest in the House or in any form of government? You can't, because your allegiance is tied to something else. Okay, we're paying a refugee from Somalia 6 figures to come into Congress, shit on America, take American benefits, make her husband/brother a millionaire, defraud us, and she could talk all that type of shit. There is no way people like that should be in Congress. There's no way that should be allowed. But here we are. Here we are, because we have been weak for a long time. We have been controlled for a long time, because the special interests are the ones that control Washington. It's not what's in the better interest of Americans, everyday folks that go to work 8, 9, 10, 15 hours a day. It's never about us. It's never about us. It's always about them. It's always about them and what their special interests want and who's cutting a check to them to make sure, oh, thank you. Oh, my brother can work at your company? Thank you so much. I'll make sure that legislation gets out there. Right? Special interests have corroded away the fabric of America. And now us as everyday Americans that are aware of this, we feel powerless. Also because our election systems are hijacked. So even now that we're aware of it, we can't rectify it because the elections are corrupt. What do we do about that as Americans? Right, Jeff? I'm not trying to black pill. But what do we do? What do? We talk about it. We post about it. We make noise about it. We throw shine on it. But ultimately, we cannot change the voting system here. Now, President Trump pulls that trigger and everything is lining up the way Patrick Byrne is talking about, then headway can be made. But until that lever is removed, until we rectify the election system in this country, get rid of mail-in ballots, require voter ID, local precinct counting, we don't need to send it electronically anywhere, we don't need to store anything electronically or ship it anywhere. But until we just get back to the basics, one American citizen, one vote, this is how they voted, and it's counted correctly, which sounds so basic, but yet so hard and so complicated. Why? Because the system needs that complication, that system needs that chaos, because that's where the communists thrive. They thrive in chaos. They cause the chaos. They know what they're doing. 73% of all Americans agree voter ID needs to be enacted, but yet the communists continue to fight against it here in America. Why? Because they need that to commit the fraud in order to enable the stealing of the American voice. It's a vicious cycle that we are caught in. We are in a vicious cycle here in America. So you have the politicians that are controlled by special interests that allow our elections to still be compromised. President Trump, tick, tick, tick. Time's ticking. We need action, my friend. You have been talking about it on your Truth Social. Tulsi Gabbard has been dropping docks and bombs everywhere. Needs to come. Needs to happen. We need to clean up the election system. We need to clean up our school system. Okay? In New Jersey, you got to hear what's going on in New Jersey. Yes, blue city, blue state, sorry, not city, blue state, right next to New York. But a lot of people in New Jersey are not Democrats. They're not. They moved to Jersey to get away from the bullshit of New York. They don't want it in Jersey. But yet somehow this is going on in second grade. Listen to this clip.
What is the state of New Jersey teaching second graders?
Well, you would assume that they're really focused on building basic math skills and reading skills, which presumably they are, but listen to what they throw in there. And so this is for students that are supposed to have achieved these things by the end of second grade, according to their own curriculum. Differentiate between gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. So they think that's really important for second graders, 7-year-olds, to know. But then it gets even worse. Listen to this. They need to know how to define vaginal, oral, and anal sex, how to perceive consent to sexual activity, how to identify short and long-term contraception, and safer sex methods that are effective, and how to identify and access and use them, and to prevent unintended pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. All of this is in a curriculum that a second grader needs to know about. Can you think, like, if that was my kid coming up, like, are you kidding me? This is what the legislature and the voters of New Jersey tolerate.
You're talking about 7, 8-year-olds that need to know what oral sex is, vaginal penetration. Like, are we for real? But this is what the communists do. How about we teach our second graders what nouns, verbs, adjectives, how to form a proper sentence, how to how to address an envelope. How about read hands on a watch? How about basic penmanship? Things that, you'll use every day in life to be a better person at this young age. But instead at this young age, they want to teach them about sex. That is absolutely sickening and disgusting. But that's what the communists do. They have no moral ground. There is no morals amongst communists. That's why if you take a look, the biggest push from the new communists in these state houses throughout the country is to legalize prostitution. Oh, sex work is good work. It leads to the moral degradation of our society. 7, 8-year-olds being taught that. People think that's a good idea to inject into the curriculum. What are your thoughts? I know what mine are. And I'm very, very gracious to Joe to allow me to share my views on the show. It's absolutely disgusting, and people that do that shit are pedophiles, plain and simple. There's no reason for 7, 8-year-olds to be thinking anything of that. We all know that. Okay? But yet they're doing this and teaching it in public schools throughout New Jersey. Where's the outrage from the Jersey parents? Do they even know this is going on? Are they signing off on permission slips for this type of stuff to be talked about in schools with their children? I don't know. Most parents should be involved. They should be aware of what's going on. But yeah, there is no morals. There's not, like, this is what you want to, this is what they put in front of our kids. And then not to mention the drag queens that they put in front of our kids and want to put in front of our kids, these drag shows. Right? All about sexualizing 7, 8-year-olds. 7 and 8, what was I doing? I was playing baseball, watching TV, doing fun shit outside. Wasn't thinking about if I'm a boy or a girl. I was a boy. I had a penis. Still do. Not going anywhere. But this is what they're doing to the kids because they want these kids to be so corrupt. They want these kids to not have morals. They want these kids to be so confused that all they have is to rely on government. That's what they want. There's no other reason for it. There's no other explanation that we have removed so much education from the education system and replaced it with all this nonsense and bullshit that just leaves kids just lost. While the parents are working full time. Get to see them a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night, right? So the school system just takes them over and they believe they can and they do. And then in the school systems, you get this stuff injected. You get the I Hate America injected. You get DEI injected, right? And these kids get all concocted up, especially if you don't have the principles being instilled in you at home by your parents. You're creating a very dangerous cocktail for the future of America. And if you want to take a look at what that's proceeding, take a look at this guy. This guy's amazing.
What would you say to people who are in America who chant death to America?
I support you. When I hear death to America, I don't believe death to Americans. I believe death to American democracy as it is, which has failed us in recent history.
What system would you replace democracy with?
Some form of democratic socialism, I think, would be helpful.
That's a scholar right there. That's a scholar right there. I don't wish death to Americans, just death to America. Okay, well, if you wish death to America, you are wishing death to Americans because there are Americans that will die for America to be preserved. And Pudgy Boy over there looks like he'll be light work for a lot of us. But this is the trash that gets produced through the school systems, through 10, 12 years of indoctrination, of being told America is systemically racist, America is systemically oppressive, the communism and democratic socialism is a better way. But never talk about the bloodiness battles and the ones that have been killed in the millions in the name of democratic socialism, in the name of communism. Never talk about it. These systems don't work. Okay? And if you're looking to fundamentally change how this government governs its people, there will be millions of people out on the streets. It will become a full-fledged civil war. So if you're talking about you want to get rid of American democracy and take away what has made America great, right? Because with that, you got to do away with the Constitution. You got to do with the Bill of Rights, right? It's not just flipping a switch. You are now changing the fundamental rights of us as Americans, which, mind you, don't come from our government. They come from God. And communists 100% hate that fact, and they will do anything and everything to remove that fact from our knowledge and existence. Public school system, indoctrination camps, leading to mental retards and mental midgets being social justice warriors, saying stupid stuff like this, which have no idea what the ramifications would lead to. This is happening all over America. People, wake up. Our school systems need to be defunded. They need to be completely redone. It needs to be turned back over to the parents. Parents actually need to organize and understand how their school districts work. School districts are predominantly dominated by their local school boards. Know who your school board members are. Look and ask your school board members, who funded your campaign? Where did those funds come from? Why are you running? okay? Because these school boards are dominated by communists that are bankrolled by NGOs that are taking left-leaning money and transforming school districts overnight, and parents are looking around, how'd that happen? It happened because the communists know how to use our system against us, and we've been lulled to sleep for so long as Americans trust in America, trust in America. You are getting screwed, and your kids are going to pay the ultimate price. Once again, not blackpilling, telling you how I see it through my lens. And if you think I am wrong, if you think that there's a path forward that could change this, I'm all ears. My idea is gutting the entire system because the system is just infested with rot. Pulling your kid out of the public school system and bankrupting your school district is the way to go. Unfortunately, most families don't have that opportunity because it takes two now to provide. And by the way, if America falls, the world falls into darkness. Okay, let's be honest here. America is the beacon. America is the shining light. America is the country that every country aspires to be. America is the country that everyone aspires to go to. And if this country falls, the world falls into darkness, into chaos. America is that shining light still. And if America goes, the world goes. Who are you going to look to as your world leader? China's going to do better than maybe. They have a lot of good, they're communist over there. That we'll love that. Surveillance state 24/7. We're kind of going that way too. Okay, so maybe China becomes the new world leader, and then that's going to look real good. Think about what your kids are going to be left with. Think about if you're older and have grandkids, think about what your grandkids are going to be left with. What's going to be looking like for them when they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, don't forget, you had the Russian Revolution that occurred. You had China. You had Cuba, Vietnam. Millions of people had died fighting communism. Why? Because communism looks to destroy, divide, and split us into the working class. You stay down here, I stay up here, and here's your little money. Now you do what I tell you, and you be happy. Now if you start speaking out against me, you start doing stuff I don't like, I'm going to take your money away. Take a look what's happening in China to the young kids that are not keeping up with their social credit scores. They are homeless on the streets in China. No one's talking about it. There's clips on X. I'll look to get some for you later this week. Right? Don't tell me communism's great. Communism's great if you're part of the ruling class and you do what they tell you to do. Then it's great. I like to think and do stuff my own way. And I believe a lot of Americans feel the same way. And a lot of Americans want this nonsense to stop. And you got the Americans that just simply want the old America back. Play this cut.
When I say I want everybody in this country to assimilate, what I mean is I should be seeing no signs in this country that are in Spanish. Learn English, Juan. You've been here for 8 years. I should not be calling my tech support and this nigga has an Indian accent. What the is going on? I should not be seeing no Muslims praying in public. I should not be hearing the call to player playing outside in public. Nigga, take that shit to the mosque. I should not be seeing any Chinatowns or Somali villages. If you want to do that bullshit, go back to your country. No ethnic enclaves in this hoe. With U.S. citizenship, if you're becoming a U.S. citizen, you have to remove all other forms of citizenship. That means you Zionist Jews, it's either you're loyal to America or you off back to Israel. This country needs to look like the same way it was looking at the beginning, meaning everybody in this bitch is only loyal to America. You speak English, you are Christian, converting to Christianity, or you respect that this is a Christian nation and you practice your other faith in private.
Dude's got some points there. He's got some points. Right? English native language, yes, right? What is a country? What is a country defined by? Borders, language, culture. We have our borders. Language is still English here, but you know, you got to have diversity. You do have different signs posted everywhere. You press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish, press 3 for Portuguese, right? We still got that going on, and our culture's a hot mess. So we are slowly losing our culture, our country itself. But most Americans want what he is saying. Most Americans are tired of the bullshit. Most Americans just want to go about their day to day, love this country, believe this country is the greatest, practice Christianity, get this other stuff out of my faith. If you don't want to assimilate here, then why are you here to begin with? Fair question. Why do people come to America? To be systemically oppressed against and to be put down? Or do they come to America for the free handouts we give them because we're systemically oppressive? I don't know. I don't know. But it's the reality. We are a good faith, Christian-based country that has been more than welcoming to all different types of people all throughout the world. And we are told we are the racist ones because we are saying enough, enough, enough. Stop taking advantage of us. If you're coming here, learn the language, speak English. Come here and then shit on this country? Like the Somali refugee in Congress that is making 6 figures, but yet still calls us a racist piece of shit country. Those people can get the fuck out. Those people are trash. But yet somehow those people are allowed to serve in Congress. And she's not the only one. And then you got this beaut. This lady who came here to America. I came here for the money. All right. Why? Let's play it.
Let me hold your hand when I say this. We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just move here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes, for sure.
You hear that, Butte? A little not as worse as my other country. Come here to offer a little bit better life. It sounds like we're a better fucking country. It sounds like she is retarded. It sounds like she is a piece of trash. It sounds like she's an ungrateful immigrant that came to this country, spitting on our country, saying Mexico is better, we have better vibes, better music, better this, better that. Then why are you here? Oh, because your family has a better chance here. Okay, so what's more important to you then? Safety, security, and a better chance of way of life? Or my music, my culture, my vibes? Which, by the way, you still have here in America. But these are the morons that are out there, and we give them time, and they talk about our country this way. She needs to go. Like, are we for real? We tolerate this ridiculousness. What other countries can we fly into, immigrate to, then talk shit about, and then that country's going to be okay with us staying there? Please tell me. Please tell me. That go over well in China? No. Go over well in Qatar? No. Go well in Israel? No. Right, so where would it go over well? Here in America. And then us Americans, oh yeah, she's so smart. She understands. Oh man. Right? And then that feeds the woke mind virus that we started the show with. Because she's a moron. And she doesn't even realize how good she has it here. And how good her family has it here. Like, that's what I don't understand. These people say we're so bad. Why are they here? Oh, because I can make some money and get better opportunity. Oh, shit. So this country is better. And we can't be systemically oppressive against you, because if your family can have a better way of life here in a predominantly white country, What does that say? What does that say? But take a look at the data. There's an account out there that I'm going to start following. It's called White Pages. Pull this let's put this tweet up here, this post, sorry. White Pages Policy Institute, 23% of all Mexicans live in the United States, around 39 million. There were barely 4 million Mexicans in the U.S. in 1960. Remittances from the U.S. to Mexico, though, top 64 billion. Some 9.3 billion comes from Texas and another 21 billion from California. Do we know what remittances are? That's money going back over the border. That's what's being sent out of this country to people in Mexico from people that are here, either legally or illegally. Depending, we don't have a way of tracking this yet. But we're so horrible. We're such a horrible country. We are so racist. We're such pieces of shit. Take a look of all that money that's going south of the border to those people down there in Mexico. And that lady has the balls to say we're the problem. Our country's shit. I don't think so if you got to send all that money back to Mexico. I don't think we're the problem here. Looks like your country might be the problem. Your country might be run by the criminal cartels. Why don't you call that shit out down there, lady? But you don't, because you're ignorant, ill-informed, product of the woke mind virus. And then you're going to sit and talk and spit in the face of the country that has allowed you to come in here, allowed you to live in San Diego, which is really expensive, and you can play, I can get a mocha and a half a granola, hun. See you later, babes. You sound like you're really oppressed and this country has treated you so poorly. Absolutely insane. Also, though, the reason why these remittances are going back so much is actually the fees have declined over time. So we geniuses here in America have actually made it cheaper for illegal immigrants and migrants and legal immigrants from Mexico to send American dollars back to their families there. We made it cheaper for them to do, instead of making sure that money stays here in America. I'm sure that billions of dollars wouldn't help anything here in America. But yeah, we're the problem. We are the problem here. The communist revolution is a real deal. The woke mind virus is a real deal. We have to fight like we've never fought before. That is the truth. All right, everyone, we're going to do a quick 180 here. We're going to air an interview that Joe did this week with Chaz Evanson. He's an unaffiliate running for governor of Colorado. The clip is going to start with a soundbite from one of our favorites here, our friend 1B Free, as it lays the groundwork for the conversation between Joe and Chaz on Colorado politics. So I hope you enjoy. We'll catch you on the back end.
People keep telling me that I'm making up the whole Vaughn Kennedy thing. No, Victor Marx is not Victor Marx. It's actually Vaughn Kennedy, and I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to prove it with Holly. You see, Holly was the 18-year-old that was under a lot of medication when she was taken, easily vulnerable, easily manipulated to go with Victor, and they took her ID and brought her to Colorado. Now, while she was in Colorado, she was a big problem because guess what? She wanted to go home. And so they came up with a solution to sending her to Victor Marx's sister-in-law's house. Her name is Rebecca Kennedy. Now, I'm going to prove it with a video, but there's also something else you're going to want to see at the very end. So check out what Holly has to say.
Get an MRI scan, or you can go to my sister-in-law's house in Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we get there. So, with Rebecca Kennedy, which is Victor Marx's sister-in-law.
So as you can see, she was sent to what she believed was Victor's sister-in-law, Rebecca Kennedy. But thanks to the help of AI, we can easily search and see that Rebecca Kennedy is actually his sibling right here. So for those of you who are out there saying that I'm lying, now the proof is in your face. I was going to say the proof is in the pudding, but no, the proof is in your face. I actually do my research. I work very hard at this because guess what? I care more than the average bear. And I don't want to elect somebody who's fake, phony, and not really real and has this whole line of crazy stuff behind him to be our governor. Because guess what? He'd be a bad governor.
You know, why are we spending so much time with Victor Marx, and why is it important for me? And everybody says, well, Joe, he's already the heir apparent. He's been picked by the establishment. Lauren Boebert's behind him. He has people that have signed off on he needs to be the next governor. And so I almost got caught in that trap myself. You know, I actually put a post up when they said he was going to run for office, and I just did a cursory glance over of who the guy was, and I was like, all right, he's a warrior. That's the guy I'll support. Then I went and met with him. And that's when I saw Mr. Empty show. So I'm actually joined in studio by Chaz Evanson. And Chaz is running for governor as an unaffiliated candidate. And I spent a lot of time talking to Chaz online. Then I got on a Zoom call with him. And here's what I discovered. I discovered that good ideas and real people are not what the establishment wants to put in office. They want to put someone in office they can control. And that's what we get by Victor Marx. So with that said, Chaz, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate you bringing me on. And I do agree with everything that you're saying. I think the establishment has a way of, and I've noticed it in my campaign. You know, I've asked for invitations to share ideas with other people over the course of almost the past year now. And you're the only person, one of the few, I would say, that's given me an opportunity to share these ideas with people.
Well, let's start by having people know a little bit about you. Why don't you tell them a little bit about you? You're a Marine.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I was born and raised in Colorado. I'm actually from Cortez. I joined the Marine Corps in 2000, and over the course of time, my first enlistment, kind of like most people, deciding whether or not I was going to make that a career, deciding whether or not what I was going to do. And after some things happened, and realizing that supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, was what I wanted to dedicate my life to. My wife and I made the decision that we were all in for a 20-year run. And so that's part of the reason why I'm here too, is because what I've recognized since I've retired is, you know, as you're going out and you're fighting these enemies overseas, trying to keep the wolf from getting inside of the sheep's pen, and then retiring, I would say when you're in the Marine Corps, or in the military, you're kind of in a little bubble in so many ways. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're like hyper-focused on national defense, national security. And so
that's your job. I mean, that's
right. And so it's important because you don't want to be distracted from that. You need to be laser focused. And then upon retirement, when I moved to Colorado, recognizing that the enemy is actually inside Colorado. And I think, you know, one of Sun Tzu's things is all war is deception. When you read his first writing in The Art of War, and recognizing that a lot of us have been deceived, and when your eyes are open to the deception, you have a choice. You go after the people that are doing the deceiving to restore Colorado, or you don't. I mean, there's really no middle ground, I guess.
Well, we have a theme song for Colorado. I figured I'd start it this way, so then we can get to some of your policies and things that you believe. I believe that largely the Democrats, Republicans, Independents have all been left behind by inadequate and selected leadership that frankly have done real harm to the people of not just Colorado, but people around the country. But so we created this song, and it's a Colorado Unchained song. So let's go ahead and Paul, see what you think of this. Let's go ahead and play it.
God help Colorado, land of the free no more. Chains on the people, from the plains to the western shore. Leaders lost their way in a liberal haze. Time to rise up, set the Rockies ablaze. Colorado's bleeding, high crime on the streets. Denver's a war zone, can't walk without defeat. Immigrants pouring in, gangs like Trendy Agua run wild. Crimes unchecked, our safety defiled. Roads are crumbling, potholes everywhere. Taxes sky high, but they don't seem to care. Tables under siege, refunds disappearing fast. Liberal schemes stealing our cash at last. God help Colorado, we real leaders now. Tina Peters locked up a prison somehow for fighting the steel, standing tall and true. Polis barring with Trump, but he's looking like a fool. High taxes crushing families on the brink. Crime waves crashing. What do you think? God help Colorado, break these chains we bear. American spirit will fight anywhere. Election integrity gone, dark money rules the game. Homeless camps brawling, drugs fuel the flame. Polarized politics, Green Deal sell us out, but hope's on the horizon, no doubt. God help Colorado, we need leaders now. Tina Peters locked up a prison somehow for fighting the steel, standing tall and true. Police barring with Trump, but he's looking like a fool. High taxes crushing families on the brink. Crime waves crashing. What do you think? God help Colorado, break these chains we bear. American spirit will fight anywhere. Trump don't make idle threats, they're all going down. Colorado rising, taking back the crown. God help Colorado, but we're fighting through. Red, white, and blue, forever true.
I think that song is awesome.
What did you think of that?
I think I think my favorite part is God help Colorado. God is the one who can restore us. I think
I always say, but God, right? I mean, you look at what happened with President Trump getting elected, and it was but God. I mean, everybody's like, it couldn't happen. There's no way that he could be reelected. That he went from felony counts and multiple court cases and to winning the presidency, and them having to basically wipe all those away. What does that tell you about our system?
I think our system, my perspective on the system is similar to yours. The whole system's been corrupted. And I think a lot of times what we're doing is we're trying to, instead of restoring the system back to its original intent, we keep trying to work within the broken system. My take on it is all these things we're experiencing with election integrity, vagrancy, with crime, like all this illegal immigrants invading our nation, are all symptomatic of a root cause of a problem. And the root cause of the problem is we've departed from, we say we're one nation under God, where I think our nation at large, and sometimes the state, the government has tried to make itself God, and we've kind of departed for that. So a restoration of our godly heritage, but going back to constitutional principle of the original intent of the Constitution. I don't think the government was ever designed to be our daddy.
No,
it was not.
And if you look at it from that perspective, it's hard not to be a little bit suspect over all the things that we're facing, right? So you have regulation, law. You can't do this, can't do that, can't do this. It's like this constant thumb that's on top of us. And I think one of the reasons why we're in a place where people are unhappy and is that they can't figure out what's actually taking it from them. But it's this pressure.
Right. Yeah, I think what's happening is, the founders, the Constitution is built on the idea of a completely minimalist government.
Right.
And the founders
layers of it.
Right. And the founders believed that people had to be self-governing, so disciplined from within, where they would say that only a virtuous people can be a free people. The more vicious people become, the more need of masters they have. And so when you're thinking about that contextually, all these people knew the Bible inside and out. Over 30% of the direct quotes and the ideas for our Constitution came from the Bible, and then you have the New Testament. And so the master is the law, right? And so basically, if you need the government to tell you what to do, you're in fact a slave. You are no longer a free person.
Well, so let's talk about some principles that you have. I think we agree on many of these things. The average person pays 56 cents on every dollar to a government entity.
Right.
That's the tax rate that they pay. Every single person pays that on average. Mm. That means that you have to feed your family on 44 cents on every dollar.
Right.
And the government has put us in a place where our roads are still crap.
Right.
Education system, 20% of the children in Colorado are being homeschooled. It used to be 1.5%.
Right.
They're sort of running away from education. You got pride flags and walkouts for to protest ICE that their kids are being forced into. There's not enough meat on the bone left for anyone, and any part of what they have to deal with on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah, I think that fraud is rampant across the United States of America. I mean, we saw that with Minnesota. What's going on there? One of the posts I made clearly describes every single Senate bill and House bill that Colorado has enacted that is actually funding illegal immigrants' lives here in the United States, which is, to your point, is taking out of the pockets of hardworking Americans.
That means you're somebody else's daddy.
Right, exactly.
So these are entitlements. And those entitlements inside of our budget, do you know how big our budget is?
I think it's creeping up on $36 billion right now.
So this year it's nearly $40 billion.
$40 billion.
So you have a $40 billion budget. How much of that do you think goes to unmandated entitlements? In other words, entitlements for people that are not American.
Half of it, probably.
So it's about $7 billion. Now that doesn't count the entitlements to nonprofits, NGOs, right, things like that. So these are things that right away you could cut out.
Yep.
And you would say, well, then how are they going to eat? So how are those people going to eat? But that's really not where that money goes.
Right.
They get free health care, free child care. The average American doesn't get that. It costs $1,500 to $2,000. The average Coloradan does not get that. It's $1,500 to $2,000 a month for one child.
Right. I think, the idea that I think there's this we framed this as a sympathetic thing to do for some people. Mm-hmm. And so that's just, it's the optics of the whole thing, right? If we're stealing from one person and giving to another person, you're in fact hurting both groups of people, right? So the just thing to do is to remove the illegal immigrants, remove the people who are fraudulently stealing from the taxpayers, mm-hmm, and restore that money back to them because they are in fact here working and contributing to society in order to do those things. And I see it all the time where people are saying, well, it's not fair that you're doing this. And it's not a matter of fairness, it's a matter of justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, so let's dig in that for a minute. So you have $7 billion in funding. I mean, and I got in an argument with one of the other candidates over what's not really $7 billion. And I was like, well, it is. because you have education entitlements, you have special allocations to nonprofits that are providing that health care and child care. But if we look at this from the perspective of, let's see if I can put this back on. If we look at it from the perspective of what dollars are coming out, that's nearly 18% of our budget. Now, I don't actually care about the $7 billion or helping people that are in need. I care about the fact that there's no accountability, no checks and balances on the money that's being spent. And at the same time, we have $7 billion of entitlements going out. How much of that is actually supporting the very people that need it in our state?
Very little of it is supporting the people that need it in our state. And I would say that a lot of people, I went to a meeting and it was an advocacy group for people who have disabilities. And one of the things that was continually coming up in the conversation, and this is just to the point, right? We as America have an obligation to help those people who truly are in need.
Right.
And so these people are sitting there, they are getting, different housing allotments and, different things that could help them with food and medical bills and all these different things. But the thing is, you have people within those circles who also want to help contribute, but they're afraid because if they make one penny too much, they're going to lose their housing or they're going to lose, whatever supplement it is. So I think it can't ever be a zero-sum game for those people either, where there's this hard line, right? And it should be graduated. And I think people talk about this with insurance too. There just can't be a cliff, right? There needs to be this graduated thing where we want to encourage people to go out and to help themselves and to do these things. And I don't think we do a good job of doing that because the way that the programs are set up. But then on the other side of the illegal immigration piece, right? If you want to come to the United States for a better life, I encourage that. But you can't come into the United States illegally and then expect the people of the United States to fund your life here and then get mad when they refuse to do that. That would be like me having the government say, oh, well, you can have these people live in your house. They can eat your food, they can do these things, but you can't throw them out.
Okay, so this gets back to, are we just a big, huge slave colony? I mean, it's the United States, because remember, we have what is it, $600 billion? So I'm going to redo this real quick. We have $600 billion that we send to different countries, on average, a part of our budget, to other nations. We give money to 108 different countries. And so we're doing the same thing here. And we fund that as well on the federal side. This is, obviously, we're talking about state and federal and the things that happen within Colorado. But, I mean...
Well, I have ideas on why the border was just left wide open, right? I believe the border was left wide open because these people want to influence elections, right? They want to get these people to come in here. Colorado itself has laws that allow people who are illegal immigrants to get ID cards.
Right.
But also on the other side of that, I do believe that there are, I mean, you can go anywhere and you can look at how illegal immigrants are employed, right? They are being treated as slaves, right? They're being threatened. They're not making a fair wage, even if they are here.
Well, I mean, I would argue that they can get paid under the table,
right?
And on top of that, receive entitlements. So they're actually not getting taxed. Some are getting taxed, but a vast majority of them are not being taxed. They're getting all the entitlements that they get from the state, and so it's like they can. Right. The average person in Colorado makes $55,000 a year. They're getting $55,000 tax-free, plus they can go over here and make a job making $40,000. They're making $90,000 a year, driving nicer cars than many Americans do, and being able to game a system that allows for them to have more than we have.
No, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I see the same things happening, and you know
it's not about being nice.
Right. It's about justice.
Right.
Justice is, and that's part of the problem, is these words nice and fair. I tell people all the time, I tell my kids all the time, life isn't fair.
No, it's not fair.
Life is not fair for anybody. And so what we have to understand, there's a difference between fairness and justice. Justice is a system that rewards the good and punishes the evil.
Yeah.
The government literally exists to do three things: to protect life, to protect liberty, and to protect property. When the government is in the business of destroying the lives of the people who are in fact doing good, then there has become a role reversal.
Right.
And that's what our government does. And so, in my opinion, even all of these evils that are happening with these illegal immigrants coming in and taking our money, it's in fact a certain group of people is rewarding a foreign invasion of people into the United States. We have Trende Aguirre right here in Colorado who are operating criminal cartels. They probably have operatives working within the legislature in some way, shape, form. Look, we're going to legalize. We're trying to legalize prostitution. We've legalized marijuana. We're a sanctuary state. We have in fact become the hub for criminal, illegal action, in my opinion, in the United States. And so the only way to restore that is for the government for the people to recognize that these things are happening and to use their voices and to use their power in order to restore that here. Otherwise, it's not going to change.
Right. So what's your platform? I mean, and look, we've talked about this a little bit, and I think that the powers to be that want to choose the person that runs Colorado so they can control the outflow of money. It's a lucrative business. Politics are very lucrative.
Yes, it is.
But what's the platform? How do we square the peg of you're running as an independent, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, everyone is unhappy? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I would say that my platform, and I want to talk specifically to the Democrats, Republicans, Independents unhappy. I want to speak to three things first. Number one is a restoration. Colorado needs a restoration of its godly heritage, right? This nation was founded on certain principles. When the founders wrote the Declaration of Independence, we all know it, but I think sometimes we think that those are unachievable goals. But they're absolutely achievable. This nation is founded on the idea that there are certain truths that we know to be absolutely true, that men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights: equality, life, liberty, and the ability to own property. Those things absolutely have to be restored. The idea that our rights don't come from government, but they come from our Creator. Those are absolutely imperative, because when people start to believe that their rights come from men, that's when our rights go away.
All right, so how in a world where TikTok videos, 1 minute videos, 2 minute videos, 3 minute rule the day, that's where people get their news.
Right.
And they believe it. They believe these 1 minute, 2 minute TikTok videos. How in a world of that do you communicate to that the idea of let's get back to restoration when a family can't feed themselves?
Yeah, I think number one, I think a lot of people, and we're seeing it in this election too, people are motivated by emotion a lot of times. And so, these social media platforms and algorithms will just feed to their emotion. But helping people understand how restoring these things can help them financially, can help them have their kids in a school system that's not going to abuse them, can help them do these things. I think that's important. The messaging, obviously can be difficult, but I think once people realize that that the system has gone so far that it has to be completely restored. If it's like having cancer, right? If I have all of these symptoms, right, we could call this departure from constitutional principle, right? We could call that cancer.
Yeah, you could.
And so then all of these symptoms are, tax extortion by the government, or allowing the government punishing the good and rewarding the evil, the whole list of things we already talked about, you could say those are the symptoms. And yes, we absolutely have to address those. But telling people that if you go to the oncologist and the oncologist says to you, look, you have all these, we know you have cancer, but we're not going to treat the cancer. We're just going to treat these symptoms. No one's going to agree with that.
Right.
Because everybody recognizes immediately the only way to fix the symptoms is to cure the cancer.
Right.
And so two things can be true at once. We have to treat the cancer while we're also dealing with the symptoms.
Yeah, but you know how hard it is to cut yourself away from the Stockholm syndrome, right? So that if we turn off all these valves, what is it going to do to our society? We saw with the shutdown, with the government shutdown, essential services stayed open, 90% of the government was closed. It had no effect on the lives of any Americans. Same thing can be said for what's happening in Colorado. We have a bloated budget that's nearly 300 times or 300% more than what it was nearly 8 years ago. And we're sitting on now a deficit of nearly $1 billion. And they've used that as a dog whistle. But the reality of it is that nobody really is, your head's spinning, you're trying to figure out, oh, you can't do this, can't do that. They scare the public into following these rules and saying, hey, we're out of money, we need more money. Well, in people's minds, you're almost $1 billion in the hole. They think somebody somewhere is going to pull the plug out of the wall and they're going to die, which is not true, right?
No, so, that is absolutely not true. And I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think the people, and this is something we've talked about, the people retain the power. But I think the problem is people are listening too much to the algorithms in their social media posts and then their different things. And I think we can, as people, and I think there are more people that aren't afraid to just let it go. Right, and it's the fear-mongering campaigns that happen. Like, if you don't continue to fund the beast, then all of these bad things are going to happen. And I think it is a very poignant statement that you made, and I made it to my kids too. I'm like, we were driving up the Colorado National Monument, and there was nobody there.
Yeah,
and everybody was basically doing the right thing. We don't need the government to tell us what to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have bad actors that have been bad for so long, and I think that, as we start peeling back the onion and getting to a place where, I've talked to you about the poorest among us. We've got to get to a place where the 40% of our tree that's rotted to the core, and I'm not talking about the judiciary, I'm not talking about the leadership, I'm talking about people in the community, right, who have crap schools, who live in deserts, like food deserts, education deserts, opportunity deserts. There is no someone from United Airlines in there saying, who wants to be a pilot?
Right.
It's not even an opportunity. It's not even a thing that they even think could be possible. But we've got to start addressing those people, and that 40% is growing.
Right.
And on top of growing, they're not voting. They're not voting for anything, right? They're just trying to get by. So how in this kind of turning things around in 2026, let's hypothetically say you're elected, how do you deal with the 40%? How do you reach the 40% first to get them to vote? And then once you do reach them, how do you fix it?
Reaching the 40%, I think a lot of people are hopeless in the state of Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of
on
people
all aisles.
On all sides. Yeah. I mean across the board. Hope doesn't differentiate between Democrats and Republicans and independents and whatever. But people are hopeless, and I would say a lot of that hopelessness today, in fact, is George Washington's birthday,
President's Day.
But I say one of the things is when you're talking about within Colorado, the factionalism and the fighting and the fratricide that's been being committed, within this group of people that want to restore liberty in Colorado is a significant contributing factor to the hopelessness that people feel. And so, if they could see a group of people who were in fact working together under principle, right? Our rights come from God. Government exists to secure those rights of equality, life, liberty, and property, and that the people are the rightful masters of the government. If they could see people working towards those three priorities, I think because the people that I talk to normally, because I don't go to the Republican forums or the Democrat forums because I'm an independent, you know, I'm kind of stiff-armed out of those things. So a lot of the people I talk to are regular people, and they see the same things that I see, and they feel the same things that I feel. I'm literally a regular dude. I'm not a podcaster or social media guy or anything else. And no, it's no admonition, but what I'm saying is, like, I'm coming from the group of regular people, and I'm trying to tell all these people that these are the things that we see and these are the things that we feel, and it feels hopeless.
Yeah.
Because all the people, and it's mind-boggling to me, and actually the enemy has devised a plan to intentionally fracture this movement because we're so busy fighting ourselves.
Yeah.
That they don't even have to fight us. We're engaging ourselves when, in fact, what we should be doing is unifying an effort within these principally aligned patriots and bringing the fight to the enemy. And I would say that's going to get you a lot of support. And I would say once you get into office, you know, again, two things can be true. People have to know that the reason why they're suffering is because the machine is out of control. The only way to solve the suffering is to fix the machine, and the outcomes will be better. But those two things can be happening concurrently. So you restore those principles, then you reform the government. We need an electoral college. We need a ratification system in Colorado, and we need to change our elected. We have most of the counties.
Well, first we got to get rid of machines and mail-in ballots. Let's start there. If we don't get rid of machines and mail-in ballots, and we don't get to a place where we have voter rolls that are clean, and where we have Americans that are voting, and we don't rip the apparatus away from people that frankly are I mean, all the county clerks and recorders across Colorado are all retarded. They're all retarded, except for a couple, because they're like, oh, there's nothing wrong with machines, because they're parroting the Matt Crane narrative.
Right, and I think that goes back to your fear mongering, right? I think that the government, right, through these like shadow political and civic action committees, have basically instilled a level of fear into these people that they're unwilling to speak up. Even if they believe something to be true, they won't say it because they're afraid. And so I do agree with you that the voting machines, it's been proven over and over again that the voting machines, there's multiple things going on. They have people on the voter rolls that shouldn't be there, and they're somehow voting. They're taking votes of people who would have voted one way, and they're flipping them another way. So yeah, I do agree with that, you know, but part of that's going back to that constitutional principle. And there are some things I think that when you're talking about, it's interesting. I was at a high school debate competition a few weeks ago, and their Lincoln Douglas debate was really interesting. It was incrementalism versus radicalism, and which one of those is better used to effectuate societal change.
Well, in the art of war, both. Because it starts out as incrementalism and it turns into radicalism.
Right.
And then radicalism has to basically fight against it. You have to have that Julius Caesar moment.
Right. And so what we need to do is look at the problems and say, okay, which one of these need radicalism, which is election integrity? That needs radicalism. That has to change or nothing changes. And I would make a good argument that the other thing that needs radicalism is the people of Colorado need equal suffrage. Look at the legislature. All these bills that are being passed, the new red flag laws, all these new things, we know that they're unconstitutional. We know all these things are happening. Last year when House Bill 25-13-12 went through, thousands of people came to the Capitol and testified.
And they did nothing about
it. They didn't give a crap.
Yeah,
Julie McCluskey sat there with her smug look on her face the entire time and gave zero craps about the people who knew that their kids were going to be attacked. And in fact, I've had parents who have messaged me and said, hey, Chaz, I literally had my kid taken by the state. I'm out of money. I'm bankrupt. I have 6 other kids to take care of because of House Bill 25-13-12. I got a kid stolen from me, and they literally didn't care. So if we, like in election integrity, if we don't change, if we don't put
But
if we don't get
nobody's
equal
telling that
suffrage
story.
in the Senate,
Chaz, nobody's telling that story. Like the story that you're talking about right now, it's a real thing.
Right.
But nobody understands is how this apparatus has literally enslaved people. And then they use police officers to enforce and say, well, you just have your day in court. But the system is so rotted, you don't get your day in court. They are literally trafficking children inside of our government.
Yes, they are. And the thing is, and I want to address that, but I believe every county in Colorado needs to have a senator. The 35 senator thing is not working. We do not get equal suffrage. If you look at the 2024 election with President Trump, 64 counties in Colorado, 55 of them are conservative. If every county had a senator...
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, they're conservative, but the leadership is trash.
Right, but we have to start somewhere, right? Just like if we put the mechanism in place, it gives people hope. Mm-hmm. And when people have hope, you're going to see more people coming out, right? But when they're hopeless, like the voter integrity thing, people are hopeless. So they'll say to me, Chaz, why should I even vote? I'm like, because it matters. We don't give up just because something sucks.
Okay, it doesn't matter, but they still should vote.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. So
it does matter.
We should vote. You can address the part that they're saying that it doesn't matter what I vote for, they're going to pick whatever they want.
Right.
While still telling them you have to vote.
Yes, that's right? The thing.
So you have to tell people, you have to affirm what you know to be true. Because if you lie to them, then they're like, they give you the finger and they're like, get out of here.
That's like telling a kid a shot's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
And then they go get their blood drawn and it hurts.
And it hurts.
And they're like, okay, that was a lie.
But you can affirm what they're saying because they can see it. Look, people are not stupid.
Right.
People have been stupid. People have been, people have an innate trust that they want the government to actually be good. But the government is innately bad for every part of society. Like it has never done anything good.
Government is not good.
Right.
Yes.
And so why you limit government is because it is a thirst for power and money and everything that you have or you want, it's trying to take that from you. It's trying to create a friction with you.
Right.
Okay. Now, with that said, you can tell someone, you're right. Your vote doesn't mean jack shit right now, but it will. And I need you to still vote.
Right.
You can affirm the fact that what they're seeing is true and still tell them, I need you to get out there and vote because I've got to be able to prove a point. I've got to be able to fight through this. I've got to be able to, we have got to get to a place where the I in each individual translates to the we and enough friction and force to stop them from using apparatuses that steal the very voice of who we are as people.
And I agree with that. And I would say if we fix election integrity, but we do not reform our Constitution to give people equal suffrage, nothing will still change. So it's a two-part thing. Two things can be true at once. We need to fix election integrity, but the Colorado Constitution is actually unconstitutional. Article 4, Section 4 of the federal Constitution guarantees to every state a Republican form of government, not the party, the form, which this would be a long discussion, but it has to, you have to compare and contrast that with the Constitutional Convention of 1787 to understand what that looks like and why we have a bicameral legislature.
Well, most people don't understand our law system, our the structure.
But so two things have to happen. We have to guarantee them, we can't lie to them, that if we do this radical thing and fix election integrity, your vote will once again mean something.
Yeah.
And two, when your vote means something, then the government will actually do what you're asking it to do, because right now it will not. It will not. It's just like what's going on with Donald Trump. He has all these good executive orders, right? All of these things are good.
Yeah.
And we know they're good. But until he codifies that in law, what happens, God forbid, Gavin Newsom, AOC, or one of these other crazy people gets elected to that office, and what happens then? We just do this massive pendulum swing. And so the people are hopeless because they're like, I'm going to suffer no matter what. It's tribal warfare. You have these two groups that are fighting over power, and then you have this middle group, which is people like me, whose lives are being wrecked. It doesn't matter who's in office, it's going to go this way, and our lives are just, it's like raking fire with a machine gun. Two positions just raking over the middle ground, and it's us.
Yeah, so what you're saying, I feel. And I feel it because I'm like an elephant that can't. I can remember where I came from, remember where I am now, and I see this disparity in between of the journey it took me to get there. And some people would say, Joe, was it worth it? And I would say, man, it was. I've had a blessed life, but man, I had to fight every which way to get there, right? What you're saying makes sense. You know, put a senator in every county. That means we have equal representation for every county. There's somebody that is representing them here, not 3 counties, 1 person. Every county has a different rule or a different set of things that they need. It's 1 representative per county. I agree with that, okay? I agree with that fully. I also agree with the fact that, you know, that what you have happening in the legislature, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, you wouldn't pick that.
You would not pick that.
Right.
The federal Constitution would not exist we would not be the nation we are today if that's how the legislature was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where you get to stolen environments. And President Trump passed all these executive orders, right? And you're talking about the next legacy, who comes in afterwards.
Right.
Well, the next legacy that comes in afterwards, let's hypothetically say President Trump can't run a 3rd term. I wish he could, but he can't run a 3rd term.
Right.
Let's look at the executive, even the executive orders. You have states that are basically saying, piss off, giving them the finger.
Colorado.
They're doing it now. Matter of fact, I want to play this for you because this is Jenna Griswold, who, by the way, is going to go to prison. Mark my words, Jenna Griswold is going to go to prison. Phil Weasel Weiser is going to go to prison. Jared Polis, man, I pray that guy goes to prison. He might actually like it, though, just because of who he is. We'll call those guys the synagogue of Satan, right? I've said it several
Fair
times.
enough.
And Kyle Clark's like, oh, you're saying that because they're Jewish. No. They're
We love our Jewish friends.
They're Jewish. These are godless, faithless, atheist Satanists, right?
Yes.
Those are not real. Are not real Jews.
Romans chapter 1, people.
Right.
The hardcore pagans, right? They are wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yes.
Worse, they're pretending to be shepherds.
Yeah.
Right. So now you have wolves in shepherd's clothing.
Yeah. And they're ugly people.
They are.
Yeah, it's really ugly people.
They vary.
Play this.
The president does not get to decide how American elections are ran. He has tried through executive order to put his thumb on elections, and we will continue to stop him, just like we did with the prior executive order. We have seen him escalate his attacks on American democracy. Just in the last month, not only did he say he planned to nationalize elections, or maybe, heck, we don't even need elections. They raided the Georgia Fulton County Elections Office based on conspiracies and tried to coerce Minnesota into handing over voter data with the threat of ICE. So this administration is doing everything it can to undermine American elections. Democratic secretaries of state and myself, we're going to hold the line, and Americans will be able to make their voices heard in the 26 elections in November.
So it doesn't.
We don't even need elections. That's what he said. Did he ever say that?
No, he did not. That's just patently untrue.
So you have this liar who's a demon. I mean, she's like a pig. I'm sorry. She's the biggest pig I've ever. I mean, she's disgusting. She's what you would think of when you think of demons, like literal demons. That would be Jenna Griswold, synagogue of Satan woman. What she just said is that he is not allowed to federalize elections. Do you know what HAVA is? Help America Vote Act. It's passed by Congress. Okay, so this happened in 2002. Help America Vote Act. It federalized elections, and everyone voted for it. Said, yep, we want to have that. It's kind of like the Patriot Act, right? So tell me, when you have states that are going rogue like what Jenna Griswold, our state, going rogue like this, and you can only describe it as one thing. We are literally captured by a foreign entity.
No, I agree with that. I think the president, and it's constitutional, right? That goes back to my idea that we've departed so far from constitutional principle. The pain is so bad, the cancer is so bad, that the symptoms have become so bad that we can't focus. It's like when my leg was crushed off.
Yeah.
Right? The pain was so bad, I couldn't even focus on the fact that I had broken vertebrae. I couldn't focus on other things. And when the symptoms of things are so bad, sometimes you can't focus. The president has an absolute duty to ensure to every state that to protect us from those foreign invasions. And it goes back to kind of what I was saying before. It wasn't an accident that Joe Biden just left the border open. We have a foreign invasion, and the president has an absolute duty, as does every governor as the commander-in-chief, when they swear an oath, to defend this state against foreign invasions. And so it is absolutely the responsibility of the president to ensure that every state has the ability to have free and fair elections. The Colorado Constitution talks about it. All these things we're talking about, if we just went back, if everybody just read the Colorado Bill of Rights and said, we want to restore this, we would be leaps and bounds better than what we are. But I do believe that my personal opinion is, and it's constitutional, right, where we have the separation of power, right? You have the legislative, you have the executive, and you have the judicial. I believe that every county there should be no connection between the county and the state and the federal government. Yeah, right? They should be running running
their own elections.
And they shouldn't be able, the federal government, no state government should be able to go straight into those machines and to manipulate that.
Right.
That needs to be completely cut off.
That's how it was for hundreds of years.
And then we go to the Reagan concept, right? Trust but verify. This is when I had multiple regiments that I was responsible for all of 20,000 pieces of equipment and all of these programs. I never told people when I was going to come and inspect them. That's retarded.
Yeah, just show up.
You just show up. All right, so we have a standard. 10% of you are getting inspected. And we're going to come and inspect 10%. Don't get caught with your pants down. And that's how we restore election integrity. We don't restore the integrity by centralizing it. We have centralized planning and decentralized execution, and then we have a process for making sure that integrity is being maintained.
Do you know who's fighting against election integrity right now? I mean, as far as no machines, no mail ballots, the only people that are fighting are the leaders. Not the people. The people, I ran into 100 people in the street, let's say. I've talked to at least 100 people over the last 30 days. Random people. I'd be out at a restaurant. I'd ask the person there. And about 10% of them, by the way, in fairness, just don't care. Right? It doesn't affect. They have so much crap going on in their life, that's the last thing that they care about. Not understanding that that's actually creating the problems in their life. Right? But let's take it on the 90% principle. And I'm like, would you be okay with paper ballots in person, make sure everyone gets to vote? And they're like, yeah, this is why we're even talking about it. Nobody wants machines. Nobody wants mail-in ballots.
Right.
I even talk to older people, and I'm like, do you like your mail-in ballots? They're like, yes, it's convenient. I was like, well, what if 10 other people, one other person gets to vote with 10 ballots and send them in, and your choice doesn't get picked? And they're like, well, that would suck. I was like, well, that's actually happening.
Right.
And then I was like, would you give up your mail-in ballot to go to in-person paper ballots and make sure that you had secure elections? Would you respect the will of the people? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, are you opposed to that? They're like, no. I said, what if I told you it was going to cost you 10% of what you're spending now, and that the other 90% goes back in your pocket? Now would you go stand in line and actually vote? They're like, yeah. Democrat, Republican, Independent. Not one single person out there that I talked to that didn't disconnect from the idea of, like, I just don't want to talk. I don't care. That 10% that's already suffering, right? Not one single person in that, not one, said, no, I wouldn't do that. Not one.
Yeah, that would be stupid for them to say that.
This is scientific, bro. This is scientific. I want everybody out there to do it. Go talk to people and say, listen, if we could put this whole thing to bed, just get the paper ballots in person, hand count, precinct. You get to hang out with your neighbors for a day. Heck, have a barbecue. Who cares? Would you be opposed to going to paper ballots if it cost you 90% less? Because right now, elections cost about $800 million a year.
Right.
Now let's get it down to $80 million. Would you guys like to have $720 million put in your pocket? Who's going to say no?
Yeah, I think that it's like you said, that people want to focus on their lives.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is there's the nefarious thing going on while people aren't looking.
Yeah.
And I think we do in this nation have an irresponsible trust of the government. The government is not to be trusted. And so these people think because it's sold, we just saw that, Jenna Griswold up there, and to the regular person who's not involved in this, if they just saw that, they might be convinced. I mean, obviously, she's a pretty convincing person. She's not going to fool me. She doesn't fool you because we're involved in these things, but that's the danger of it. These people have been deceived, and that goes back to the deception, right? There's a war going on, right? And it's a psyop across the whole United States. But the thing is, you're right. Most people don't recognize it's going on. And most people are reasonably minded. And I absolutely believe that because I talk to people have the same thing, and it goes back to that hope, right? If they can take their ballot, right? I can take my ID card. It identifies me as a Colorado resident, identifies me to my precinct, identifies me as a United States citizen, and I can take that ID card and I can go to my polling site and I can get my ballot, and I know for a fact that where I make my marks are going to matter. That changes everything, right? That changes everything. But then you pair that up.
Do you think most people are the same? Or do you think that most people want life, liberty, pursuit of happiness?
Yes.
You know
Yes,
what I mean?
I think most people are principally aligned. And I think what's happening is we're allowing people to come in and create chaos instead of, being able to stiff arm the little things and saying we can be principally aligned. As an unaffiliated candidate, I talk to a wide breadth of people. And
do you know how many illegals get abortions?
I don't have a number on how many illegal immigrants get abortions.
Yeah, it's less than 2% of the total abortions. Less than 2%. Do you know what the abortion rate is of black people in Colorado?
I don't know.
It's
I don't even want to say.
47%. It's 47%. 47%. It's genocide.
No, it is.
Of an entire race. Do you know who the?
It's eugenics.
Yeah, you know,
Margaret Sanger.
You know that the people that come here illegally. I just went 1% to 2%, and then if you go all the way up to 47%. So the black community is being devastated. Do you know why? I sat in a room with Democrats. I sat in a room with. Actually, I don't think there was a white person there other than the one of the people that was helping out. Just a bunch of black people and brown people. That was it. It was an awesome meeting. I said this clearly. I said, if you could get free health care and free child care, how many of you, because I asked how many people would have had abortions, and an ungodly number of people put their hands in the air. And I said, how many, if you got free health care, free child care for your baby, would you have kept the child? Almost all those hands went up. So the illegals get free health care and free child care. They're keeping their babies because so this shows me that we've created a right, this entitlement. They call it entitlement. Go get an abortion, we'll pay for it from other states. It's being taken advantage of by Americans who are completely annihilating the next generation, while illegals that come here illegally then overrun us with a different ethos, and we don't have an ethos because half our boys and men in those communities are being sent straight from school to prison. Only 24% graduate proficient in math, able to go to college.
Right.
Right? But 65% of them are going to college.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with everything you're saying, and I think where I see this as problematic when you're thinking about free daycare, free, these different things, I see a form of socialism happening. So the thing is, what we were talking about before is the economy is broken.
Mm-hmm.
The people can't afford their kids, and so they feel like the only recourse they have is to take their life. And so when a government is actually destroying life, it has abandoned its number one job. Its job is to preserve life, to preserve liberty, and to preserve property. And when the government is taking out of everybody's pockets, you can't, it's almost impossible to get ahead because, they're punishing these people by pulling this money out of their pocket to fund these illegal immigrants and fund all these other programs. So I do agree. But the problem is all of these government programs that are being funded, they just need to go away.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. I think it's, I want to reiterate some things here. Because you said life, liberty, property, right?
Right.
Do you own your property?
Well, technically, we're living in feudalism.
Do you own your property?
I mean, it's a de facto ownership because my property, I have to pay the government once a year to live on my property.
And that's right. So you don't own your property then. You rent it from the government.
Right.
Okay. So you would agree that we're all sharecroppers.
But we shouldn't be.
No, we shouldn't be. And this is the whole platform by which
it's feudalism.
Yeah.
The founders would have never founded this nation on feudalism. We have corporate feudalism and we have governmental feudalism that's ruining people's lives.
Okay, so that's what I want to get to. I don't want to replace the system and make black and brown people in our community that have been here for generations go and have to get government assistance for health care and for child care.
No.
But 23%, mark this, and you and I have talked about this, 23% of a person's mortgage or rent is property tax.
Right.
So if the average is $2,100, that means $600 a month goes to what?
Taxes.
Taxes for the government, for you to live, to be there, right? And when you pay off your home, you have to continue to pay it. So you're renting your house, you rent. And at this rate, we'll be in a place where people won't be able to, can't own anything, which is what they're trying to push us towards. Because now only 13% of the people that used to be able to buy a home under the age of 30 can now afford to buy a home. So everything that they've tried to do inside of this government structure in order to steal our voice, steal who we are, they've done it already. They've done it.
Right.
So when you say restoration, I agree with you fully. But this is where I get into the fact that we're not mad enough. We're not angry enough. We're not pissed off enough. They want to make us feel guilty, Chaz. They want to make you feel guilty for being a white man. They want to make me feel guilty for being a white man. They want to tell black people it's the white people over there that are actually causing all your problem. When in actuality, it's a small group of people that don't call themselves white. White people that are literally creating this divide and building an entire system that allows for us to fight each other while they hand entitlements to people that never should have been here to begin with.
Right. Yeah, that goes back to part of the reason why I am an unaffiliated candidate is because I believe that factionalism is problematic. There are, in fact, and I mean, it's not just in economics. I mean, they're trying to divide us up along every line. Economics, skin color. I'm 30% Native American, 30% Spanish, 30% Northern European, and then whatever else.
You're a mutt like me.
I'm missing a leg. I'm a veteran. I mean, what group do you want to put me in? I'm a freaking American. I'm American.
Yeah.
When in the Marine Corps, I'll be filling out my paperwork. It's like, what's your heritage? I'll write on there American, and some people are like, well, you can't write that. You have to fill. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not going to be the one. You can't force me to put that.
Yeah, but they try.
And I do agree that we're not mad enough. But I want to say the founders, when you look in the Declaration of Independence, and it goes to your point, how do we get these people? How do we get them to understand these things? The founders said something that's very, very, it's just powerful. They said, they're talking about despotic governments. And it says, people are more disposed to suffer while the evils are sufferable than to right themselves from the evils that are causing the suffering. And so a lot of times in my mind, I'm like, how bad does it have to get before people are forced into action? I think a lot of times we're so far removed, even though it's 250 years, we're so far removed from how bad it was during the time of the founders, and we're trying to figure out, like, okay, how bad.
It's that bad now.
It is that bad. And here's the thing is, I think
it's worse.
It is worse in many ways.
Yeah.
And when you look down the 27 grievances in the Declaration of Independence, one of them was equal suffrage. We don't have equal suffrage in this state. Nobody gives a crap what I think, right? And the two-party system is to blame. And you know this, we've had multiple conversations. Why is it that even though I hold these same fundamental principles, I'm told to stand aside.
Right.
And it's not about me. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to raise up the voice of the people who are politically homeless, and we've been called trash, we've been called junk, we've been called traitors. Well, that's interesting for a guy who served this nation for 20 years, supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States. And people are like, well, I don't understand why we can't win. Well, the reason why we can't win is because we're in fact divided.
Right.
And I would say, you know, one of the things that I've been telling people, and people can agree or disagree with this, and I say sometimes we're blind to our own hypocrisy. You know, a lot of people in the conservative and liberty-minded group of people, which I think we're of that group, right? We're not the, what'd you call it,
I would argue that the people in the middle of Denver,
the synagogue of Satan, right? We are this liberty-minded group of people, you know, and people in this conservative and liberty-minded group say, well, we don't believe in DEI. And I'm going to speak specifically to the Republican Party. And it's one of those truths and love, right? I'm going to say it.
Say it.
You say you don't believe in DEI, but you won't include me because I'm not a Republican. Look at the Liberty scorecard. Pull it up, Google it. Liberty scorecard.
Barb Kirkmiles, she's a flat F.
Dude, and people will support her just because she claims to be a Republican.
Right.
And so either you believe in DEI or you don't.
Right.
So excluding me just proves the fact that you're blind to your own hypocrisy.
I mean, look, I've had better luck having conversations with Democrats than I have with the Rhino establishment. And I wrote this thing about, maybe we should pull that up. Find the post that I put up on that talks about the Republican Party. Do we have that? Just see if you can find it. All right. So you're not wrong. You're right. Right? And this is why I have such a hard time with us pedestaling, you know, someone like Victor Marx, or pedestaling ideas, principles, a way forward should shape the way people vote for a candidate.
Amen.
Right? And then you should have a history. You should have something that I can point to that says, you know, yes, Joe can't be bought. Yes, Chaz can't be bought. Yes, Chaz did this. Yes. All right, I'm willing to give him a chance because he's outside the establishment lines on either side. And they finally would realize that what they've been doing before it's an act of insanity.
Right, because they keep continuing to do the same thing over and over again. Look, go back and look at the 2022 governor election.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something else, right? So we had, oh man, I can't think of her name right now.
Heidi Ganahl.
Mm-hmm. And then you had another lady, Neuschwanger.
Yeah.
They were both running Republicans.
Yeah.
Heidi Neuschwanger saw no clear path to victory. Neuschwanger breaks off, becomes part of the U.S. Constitution Party, and draws off a bunch of those votes. Right.
Right.
And so when you go back,
I mean, the elections are fraudulent.
They are fraudulent. But I just want to make the point that we have to work together.
Mm-hmm.
The continued working against each other just makes it easier. Yes, the elections are fraudulent, but it goes back to we can't have apathy. We still need to have a plan to work together, and by pushing people out and saying, well, because you won't wear the R, you can't be you're not a part of the team.
Right, look, I reached out to you when we talked before.
Right.
I agree with you. I think that we have open primaries. We should have open debate.
Yes.
Right? So if an independent can actually vote in a Republican primary, then independents should be sitting on the panel so that they can actually hear the ideas of the independents. You invite them all the way in, or you don't.
And my point is, we need to have a different plan. Continuing, and my point is, I see this election cycle is going down the exact same way. It's a twin.
Yeah,
nothing's changed. It's a losing plan.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Why are we so sold out on a losing plan? Who wants to be on a losing team?
Yeah.
We need to build a winning team who can achieve victory for Colorado in 2026, and by continually shouting down the people like me, I'm a literal regular person. I'm a retired Marine.
Yeah.
Like, I work in my community, I go to my church, you know, I do these different things, and it's like, well, Chaz, you don't know what you're talking about. Interesting, because I am the people.
Yeah, that gets to the, go into the community, listen first, then lead together type of principle that we run. All right, so here's where we're up against our time frame. We got I was just hit with you got a 5-minute deal. So let's talk about 2026. We have Barb Kirkmeyer, you have Scott Bottoms, you have yourself, you have me, you have Victor Marks,
Greg Lopez. You've got a lot of good people in there. You got one Yes.
that I can't support at all, Victor Marks, because he's as far as I'm concerned, he's a stolen valor guy, right? So
I agree with you, sir.
right. I mean,
Yes, sir.
he said he served 3 or 4 years. He didn't. He was kicked out after 9 months, and he said that no, I wasn't. Well, he was medically put into a position where basically he couldn't adapt. So we got an FTA separation that happened to finish. You know how the government works.
Yep.
So you have FTAs, failure to adapt designations, so they try to get you help, right? Then they finally are like, get out, right? So changed his name, said he did it for his persona, right, to protect his persona. But he was an 18-year-old kid, so there was no persona.
Right.
Right. So anyway, I don't like that guy. I don't like that paper tiger, that liar. I don't like him. But let's say everybody else, we got this other bucket, right? Greg Lopez is going to stay in the race, right? I'm in the race to talk similarly to you. Is there a pathway that you see where 4 or 5 of those candidates collectively come together and say, all right, here's our platform.
Yes.
Here's what we've experienced, and we're willing to capitulate, whoever it is, whoever that person ends up being, we're able to capitulate into that particular deal and say, we will work with this leader. You think that could happen?
I think that could happen, and I think it has to happen. I think it's one of those things where I think a lot of people don't understand the structure of the government.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are a lot of great people who are really smart, who have come into this race for the same reasons. And I happen to be one of those people. I am willing and able to put my effort behind somebody, but everybody has to have that same mindset.
Right.
Because think of it this way, there are 16 positions on the governor's cabinet. All of them require the governor to appoint them. 6 of them do not require Senate confirmation.
Right.
That's a win, right? A lieutenant governor. We need a good lieutenant governor. But here's my pitch, right? I hear all this talk about, I got the unaffiliated vote, I got the independent vote, I got this. We keep dividing these people up. But what if we had a guy who was a Republican and a guy who was an unaffiliated on the same ticket?
Yeah.
What if that actually happened? That's an actual unification. That signals to the people that I'm not actually sold out to the establishment, that I actually care about these other people. Instead of, what I hear, what I feel is, hey, Chaz, you're important when we need your vote, but don't get a seat at the table.
Right. Right.
That doesn't fly with me. I'm not about that.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to. I think we have to be a little bit more studious in how we go about.
Yes.
This, and have humility, grace, and we have got to find a way to work together, not like children. And you see the Republican Party act like children every day, right?
One of the main reasons I'm not a part of it.
I mean, I spent 2.5 hours. I drove 2.5 hours to go to Sterling, Colorado, to go to the Lincoln Day dinner. Sat there, and there was probably 150 people in there. 140 of them were in office or family members of people in office. So there was 10 people from their community. Now, before I went out there, they warned me that, Joe, you don't understand what you're walking into. You got a sheriff that's a really good guy. And he says, but just below the surface of that, you have a good old boys club that is as corrupt as you're ever going to find. And I was like, yeah, it's Sterling. It's in the middle of the East, plain, right? Farmers. And they go, no. Nobody wants to be a part of the Republican Party out there. Not formally. Because they all just backbite you, and it's just a really bad environment. So I got to speak for 4 minutes out there. 4 minutes. I drove 2.5 hours for 4 minutes. Sandwiched between 2 gubernatorial candidates that frankly were crazy. and then they gave Barb Kirkmeyer the floor at the end. I was so angry at the patting on the back and the way that they treated candidates, that obviously they were going to make a fool out of people, that when I got up there to speak, I could not believe what I was a part of. This is the GOP of Sterling, Colorado. This is, and I was disgusted by it. That is what permeates that weak, cowardly, self-importance, only care about themselves while pissing on people in their community, is what the GOP has become. So we're going to have to bypass the GOP establishment and get to the GOP people and the independent people and say, look, this is where we are. And then from there, flush out into the Democrats that are feeling the same pain on the Democrat side.
Right. I think one of the things I've been working on concurrently with this campaign is a Liberty Coalition.
Yeah.
And it encourages people from all different walks. And the goal is to elevate them so people can have their ideas heard, so people can have their voices heard. But one of the things that we've been working on is trying to find, kind of like the Nick Shirley thing. Where's all these independent reporters?
Yeah.
Getting all the candidates in a room, having all these independent reporters there, broadcasting it out to their audiences, because you know what? These forums it's all the same people. The regular people don't even hear what's going on. They have no clue. And so getting all these people together, but the establishment doesn't want that to happen because the establishment wants to retain power.
Right.
And the way we do that is by going to these independent reporters, these independent journalists, getting everybody in a room, but that requires humility, right? And getting into a room and opening that up to the rest of the people. I mean, I see you've been posting Free as Can Be, a lot of his stuff, Daniel. Yeah. People like that, they're instrumental. The communities are dying. You talk about deserts.
Yeah.
There's a desert, right? All of these political candidates are chosen by a specific group of people. There's a desert of voiceless people. And
a ton of them.
And I think that's a way. We just have to stop going to the establishment and asking them for help. And we need to say, hey, where's all these people? We need to invite them to the table, and we need to broadcast this out. If you got 10 of those people in a room, those independent journalists, and each one of them had over 100,000 viewers, dude, that's...
It's a big number.
And that answers your question. How do you talk to those 40%? That's the answer. And
I spend a lot of time talking to those people. So
that's all I'm asking, right? That's why I'm here, because I want to give a voice to the voiceless. Right. And that's our job as Christians.
How do people follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook at Chaz Evanson for Colorado. I'm also on TikTok. Those are my two biggest social media platforms that I put information out on. And then the last one is ChazEvanson.com. You can see my whole campaign platform on there.
All right. Awesome. Well, brother, thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming all this way to visit with me. I think we're equally yoked on our ideas. I think that you are a wealth of knowledge, and regardless of who becomes the governor, we've got to find a way to work together in a sensible stride that eliminates the waste, fraud, and abuse, the special interests, the lobbyist groups, the big pharma. There shouldn't be one bill in the House that doesn't come from the communities of Colorado.
Amen.
Not one. And I promise you, nobody in Colorado wants to legalize prostitution other than rapists and murderers. So
I agree with that 100%.
Right. So there you go. All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, so we'll be, I don't know what the future holds for the Colorado governor's race. I don't know. I'm going to continue to run the race. Chad's going to continue to run the race. Scott Bottoms is. I constantly am out there talking about certain people that are in the news media that I think have really done us a disservice as a group. So, put your comment below. Make sure you share us. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. You can reach us on Rumble or on untamednation.com. If you want to follow us and make sure you get updates, text FREEDOM to 89517. God bless you all. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, everyone. What a great interview Joe just did with Chaz. And Joe is he's a man of the people. The guy hears a voice, it resonates with him, and then he wants to amplify it and give them an opportunity to share their message. It's quite remarkable that a person of Joe's stature, wealth, still just continues going out there just doing the work, trying to make this country and this state a better place. And this is actually a competitor of Joe, right? He's running as an unaffiliate, but they're in the field together, duking it out. Just a good man. And I don't know how he does it with staying with his event schedule, running multiple companies, running for governor, doing a podcast. I don't know how the guy does it, but it's quite fascinating to watch and have a front row seat to it every day. And I see it every day, and I still don't know how this guy does it. So Joe, keep it up, man. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Seeing you. Well, we're not going to see you in studio, but you'll be remote tomorrow, so it'll be great to see you. Just woof, that guy. And now this part of the show, we're going to cover the effects of communism in America, right? We did a teed off on it at the first part, but now you really got to see the effects of it. You really got to see the effects of it. And we're going to start right here in New York City. Don't tell me Democratic Socialist Mamdani is a Democratic Socialist. He's a communist in sheep's clothing, okay? That's what he is. Take a look at what's going on in New York. So yeah, the Muslim call of prayer is getting amplified more and more in New York City, different boroughs, waking people up all types of time, 5 a.m., cranking it 12 at midnight, right, during the course of the day, 5 times a day, 24 hours. Got it popping, every 5 hours or so, give or take. But yeah, Mamdani, baby, he's off on fire right now. We got the call of prayer popping. They just got hit with a blizzard about 8-9 days ago. It's starting to warm up in New York. The snow's melting, and take a look what's happening now with the snow melting in New York.
Bro, this sidewalk is filled with shit. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm scared I'm gonna step in it. But yo, I ain't never seen no shit like that. Pun intended.
Yeah, so they had a big storm that dropped, 10, 11, 12 inches on the city. And there's shit now in the streets because people didn't clean up after their dogs, or some people just dropped the deuces as they were walking by, which I wouldn't be surprised if you take a look at San Francisco and what hellhole that led to. I wouldn't be surprised if some of that feces on the street is mixed with some human and some puppy poop. But that just shows you the pride people are taking in their city. Shows you the level of care that they have now that their city has been captured. That's communist gentrification. Making the city or state you take over a shithole. That's communist gentrification. Mamdani's off to a great start. Making sure the call of prayer, you got shit on the streets. And yeah, maybe he's not solely responsible for making sure that there's no shit on the streets, but it just shows you the overall apathy of that city right now. Shows you the lack of care or pride that the people do have in that city right now because they know they are captured. They know their system is done for. And then Mamdani comes out, talks about all the free stuff he wants to give, we're entitled to, we deserve. And now he's dropping the bomb on the libtards that didn't understand that money ain't free. Next cut.
At the heart of this path is a property tax increase. This would effectively be a tax on working and middle-class New Yorkers who have a median income of $122,000. The second path also requires us to raid our reserves. It would mean withdrawing $980 million from our city's rainy day fund in fiscal year 2026 and $229 million from the Retiree Health Benefit Trust in fiscal year 2027. These are steps that have been taken before, but only in moments of extraordinary external crisis. Mayor Bloomberg's response to the 2008 financial collapse, and Mayor de Blasio's response to the enormous revenue shortfall caused by the pandemic. We do not want to have to turn to such drastic measures to balance our budget.
Yeah, so I got to take money out of reserves, and I need to jack the property tax by 9.5% because the governor won't raise the state income tax. So I just got to bang out the middle class any which way. You know, the middle class that supposedly supported Mamdani, that he was going to give all free shit to. Yeah, he's taking your money. Hello, where you been, right? The problem with communism is you always got to spend someone else's money. And our property tax, we're going to make sure we hit the middle class, right? We're going to make sure we hit the people that have a home, make around 122. We're going to make sure we tax those guys. Why? Why them? You can't increase property tax on the wealthy, you know, penthouses, townhomes, the brownstones that Letitia James lives in, right? Those things are expensive. You can't increase the property tax on those that the 6-figure, 7-figure people, high 6s, low 7s, high 7-figure people that live in these pieces of property. You can't increase their property tax. Nope, got to go after middle class. Why? Because the middle class is the enemy. The ones that they proclaim to help are the enemy, and they will come after you. They tell us this all the time, but yet people don't understand. So New York is going to get driven off a cliff, and the ones that can afford to leave will eventually leave, which will then lead to more economic shortfall, right? Because that's what happens with communist economic principles. That's what happens. And then if you don't believe me, oh, I'm dying, just take, no. The Democrats have controlled New York for quite some time now. Okay, Eric Adams, Bill de Blasio, 12 years there. Bloomberg, he was a one-off Republican, but did do some Democratic principles, right? But definitely 12 years of Democratic principles have ruined the economics of New York City. Open borders, free healthcare, free housing, free food to illegals during 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, there's an economic cost to it. And Eric Adams even said that in a press conference, before, I believe in 2022 or 2023, where he said, if we keep doing this, we're going to have a $12 billion shortfall. And he was right. And now Mamdani's like, well, you know, yeah. Well, Mamdani, you're following the same principles that they were. Mamdani, were you going to stop bringing illegals into New York City during 2020 to 2024 during the Biden regime? Hell no, you weren't. You're going to bring them all in. Right? So you would follow the same economic principles because it's your ideological goals you're looking to achieve, which is the overthrow of America. And part of overthrowing America is bankrupting America, breaking the economics of America, which the communists are doing. He's got to go raid funds and raise property tax. People are going to lose their homes because of this. He doesn't care. Why? Because as the government, he's going to want to come in and just swoop it up, make it part of communal living. Communism. That's going on in New York. You could say, oh, you're jumping ahead. No, you don't know. No. Washington is ahead of New York. Listen to what the state reps in Washington State just did. Let's play that.
We take our finger and press this button tonight. That is a $4 billion vote. And the next thing will be an income tax and many other taxes. After the largest tax increases in state history, and all the while, a spending addiction that is totally out of control.
These are retired firefighters. These are retired police officers who have worked so hard. And then when they see the hands of Olympia reaching in to take their retirement, they take it personal.
We have spent so much money in so many ways on so many unsustainable programs that we've forced ourselves into a hole that a year after we have record increases in taxes, over $9 billion of new taxes, we're immediately coming back and asking our retirees to shoulder a massive shift of their funds to balance the budget. If this were a private corporation, we'd be screaming bloody murder that they were raiding their employees' pension funds.
We are continuing to spend more than we take in. And we're going to come back next year and we're going to even have a worse deficit.
We have.
Yeah, that's going on in Washington State. And it sounds very similar to what the answer in New York City was by Mamdani, raiding pension funds, raiding extra cash funds that are in there for reserves, right? It's all about emptying the system. Even though they increase taxes in Washington, they still need more because there is no endless pit in communist ideas because they want to spend and spend and spend and spend and spend without actually fixing any problems, addressing the mental health issues, regenerating a normal American society, getting rid of trans stuff, you know, getting rid of illegal immigrants, doing away with entitlements to them, right? All this stuff costs money, and they jack the taxes up, and now they're looking to raid the pension fund of these retired firefighters and police officers in the state of Washington. This is how communism works. It is all over the place. And businesses don't want to stay in these cities and states that are going to jack tax rates, put DEI bullshit in front of them, make sure they got to follow all different types of government reforms or government steps, the bureaucratic tape that typically follows communist principles, because the communists got to make sure you do bing and bing and bing and bing and bing, because someone's getting hit off along the way with a payment or a fee, or right, because it's a one big criminal cartel for themselves, and you're not part of it, so you got to pay every inch along the way. And then I found this quite funny. Palantir left Colorado. Palantir left Colorado. Billion-dollar company left Denver overnight. And Polis is standing there going, I wonder why. Let's play it.
Colorado's governor just told me inside the Capitol here that he had no advance notice that Palantir, Colorado's most valuable company, would be moving its headquarters to Florida. In a social media post this morning, Palantir announced they'd be moving their headquarters to Miami. They have a market cap of $300-some billion. I just asked the governor how he found out.
How did you find out Palantir is moving its headquarters?
I was not notified. I understand there's some public posting from the company, and I don't have any information on it. I have requested a meeting with executives of the company to see if we can learn more.
I then asked how he feels about not being notified.
Obviously, what I would be looking to is, does it affect any jobs here in Colorado? It's not clear whether a headquarters move would or wouldn't affect that.
The governor estimates there are a couple hundred Colorado employees and does not know exactly what will happen to them.
So yeah, companies don't want to do business in communistic states. They don't like the policies that they are subjected to financially or socially. Their families are subjected to in these blue states and blue cities. And they're going to get hit with taxes and fees and regulatory bullshit that they got to follow. They say, screw it, I'm out. And I don't owe you shit, Jared Polis. Good for them. Good for Palantir just dropping a mic saying, we out. They're going to Miami. I don't know how much better that's going to be. But this is what's happening to blue states. What businesses have you heard of that are actually moving to blue states to actually supplant themselves in and then thrive in? It's not happening because the economic concepts and the economic principles of blue states are not beneficial to business growth. So you're going to have a cataclysmic shift of economics in blue states as more and more companies continuously leave because these communists keep doubling down on their economic, social justice pushes. They're all tied together. But the problem is you're not going to have the money to run the systems that you want to run because businesses and wealthy people are leaving your states because they don't want to live by your rules. So what's going to happen? They're going to tax the hell out of middle class until they're nothing. And Mamdani told you that. Communism in America. Woke mind virus in America. Stay awake, stay informed, fight back against it at every turn. Because if you're not going to fight, That's just one less person they got to waste their energy on. We need to make them fight as hard as we're fighting. And the problem is they're not fighting that hard. They're just doing and taking. So please share the episode. Talk to your friends. Get involved. Get organized at the local level. Like Joe said, build a fraternity at the local level with your people. Right? Because we cannot be on an island fighting this. They are a unified force and they're coming. They're here. They're beating at our door. We need to resist at all costs. And with that, I'm going to pray us out. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to sit in this chair today and provide, I believe, good content to our audience and informative content, hopefully inspiring some to take action and spread the word. Dear Lord, thank you for my boy on his 4th birthday today. Truly a blessing. Truly a blessing that I get to see him every day and spend time with him. Something that I missed as a child growing up from my dad. And I still love my dad. I have no ill will towards the man. One day I look forward to seeing him on the other side and giving him a hug. But I love hugging my boy, and he is by far the greatest gift. So thank you, Lord, for that. And thank you for allowing us to spend today together. Dear Lord, continue to watch over us, watch over Joe as he's going through his medical test. He doesn't have one this week, but still as he travels, let's keep him safe. He's doing a lot of your work too, Lord. Thank you for a beautiful day. Thank you for the air we breathe. Thank you for the sun today. Thank you for every opportunity, even though some of those opportunities that look like are easy are always going to present challenges. And thank you for allowing us, and me specifically, to learn how to push through that. Thank you, Lord, for giving me the strength to be a resilient person. Please, Lord, give that strength to others, as we need our resilience and our strength and our fight more and more each day. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Love you, Grandma, Grandpa, and Dad. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Joe will be in chair tomorrow. Class dismissed.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Coomers, lies, dominions, deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Hart and Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Coomer's fraud, dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado read free. Governor, lead us bold and true. Governor, freedom forever, Colorado. Rise up, Untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave